There we
Okay.
are. Now we're being live.
Oh, now I got all kinds of alerts, so I'm good. Thank you.
So do we say, got it? So
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, got it.
got it?
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order. Thank everybody for joining us. Our first item of business is to recognize our traditional territories. So welcome to the Fallen Firefighters Memorial Task Force meeting for Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. We meet today. Today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Acknowledging this is a reminder that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendship of Indigenous peoples. And I did want to add, because I do read the mayor's Twitter account regularly, that he tweeted out that November 1st to 7th is Treaties Recognition Week, which recognizes the importance of treaties and increases awareness of treaty relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities in Ontario. So it's a timely addition to our recognition. All right. Second item, third is the amendment. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Mayor, and seconded by Dave Upper. Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Next item is a motion. It's the motion to approve the minutes of the meeting that was held. Get the date here, October 5th, 2021. Thank you, Councillor Dodge. Seconder, Ryan Medill. Motion to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting. All those in favor? Carried. Declarations of interest, anybody? Seeing none. Presentations, no invited guests today. Business arising from the minutes, believe will be covered in the agenda unless there's anybody that wants to add something from previous minutes. Okay. Just before we get into the couple of items that we have on our agenda here, Nancy, I did want to give you a warm welcome. Everybody kind of did that at the beginning. I think that whether you know or do not know the process, there's two of us on here that are considered citizens, which is you and I, and everybody else has some sort of vested reason for being here. We have a shared family history with firefighters and fallen firefighters, and the process that everybody read your application, I think was very impressed with it, and I just wanted to let you know that we're very pleased to have you join the work here, and we look forward to working with you on behalf of everybody on this committee.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We put a fundraising goal of $100,000 beside your name too. I hope that's okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, you got to get used to me if you're going to be on this committee. All right. Business that we have here. I got competing agendas. I apologize. So first item of business is the presentation deck that was sent around, which is a draft. We've gone through a few edits. Noor and I have done a few edits on it. We recognize that there's an inconsistency on the slide that shows the bench itself is priced at $2,500 versus on the pricing menu it's $10,000, which is what it is. I had a good friend of mine. She's a high-level marketer by the name of Kate Giansopoulos that did this work for us pro bono, and she did a nice job on it. And she's available to assist with everything going forward. So I don't know if you've had a chance. Obviously, Chief McCormick. We'll need to deal with him in the personnel panel here. But I've used this just for what it's worth a couple of times in discussions with some people that are interested in participating, and it's gone over really well. The other thing we added was there was discussion at our last meeting around landscaping features, potentially some of the other features being sponsored. And in just discussions with a few groups and individuals, there is appetite for that. So we added that in as a tier 4, and we just call it customized donations, which I think will give us flexibility, and it'll be linked to needs. So we price that in between the bench and the sponsor wall or donation wall, and that'll ostensibly be worked out on a donor by donor basis. What I do want to stress is that, as we've always mentioned, there's a fine line between donor recognition and the solemn use of this park and what it's there to recognize both fallen fighters, but the profession itself. So none of these things will actually come into play without this committee seeing it and agreeing to it. So even when we discuss donation opportunities with people, especially in this customized area, I think it's important that we align behind the integrity of the presentation itself. So I just wanted to make that point clear, because it looks in the deck a little gray. It's undetermined what it'll actually look like. Okay, questions, comments, concerns about our piece here. Ryan, you chimed in a little bit at the beginning. If anyone else has any discussion points about it, I think it'd be a good chance to give everybody a chance to talk about it.
Has everyone seen it, or do you want to take us through it? Do you just want to roll through it? And
yeah, sure. I can't. I need to be. You want to screen share it, Nora? Okay, nice.
Can you confirm that you can see that on screen? That's the front page. Great. I'll just go through it. Barry, you can talk over it if you like.
Yeah, up here on this thing. Yeah, so we did the graphics have been cleaned up. It's a technique of obviously juxtaposing. This is designed to emote history and show something from the past that talks about just really how long the service has been active and how long people have been fighting fires. There's little things in this deck, like the page numbers, if you look in the bottom corner, that have a sort of firefighter thematic to it. We wanted to stress here that, the idea behind this deck, its primary goal is to give people that are willing to contribute to the overall initiative a sense of what's happening. So we wanted to stress that, what the concept was. The narrative in there is about the fact that St. Catharines is one of the only communities that doesn't have this. So there's a civic pride component to it. And then we wanted to stress that it's a public-private partnership, recognizing the city's contribution, but also the fact that we need the public to step up. The next slide is our group. So we'll get Nancy on that, and we'll have to do something with the chief. It was mentioned to me that if you do have a high-res photo of yourself, that would be helpful. I think this stuff was sort of just grabbed from internet. I'm not overly concerned. This thing doesn't have to be the uber high-end graphic, but if you have one and you can send it along to Nura, that'd be great. We can incorporate it into the deck. Then a quote from the mayor. Again, important to bring names to this with some customized graphics. And then we've just taken this from the submission of the successful candidate to give a sort of a, overview of what the space will look like and identify them. The design elements, I believe when you read them, you'll see that this is definitely geared for people to consider donating. We are there's some credentials for CFC Supply and their history as in the firefighting business, which they do, and a little bit of an overview of what it'll be. But I think you'll see here what amounts to a features listing, parquet, high volume, the kind of things that I think donators will consider: landscaping, visual attributes, well lit at night, adjacent parking, etc. This was great. Add-in was the 2 different views of the space itself. So I think when you see, how empty the parquet is right now, you have the visual from the previous slide in your mind of what it could look like. It starts to coalesce a little bit, and you can see like there's watermarks of the crest, and there's a lot of nice little design touches that she threw in here. So that's a call to, that's the traditional call to action. So we start to move through the tiers. We did discuss at our meeting the potential to add either space or size or donators to this wall, and sort of made the decision not to include that aspect of it here because we wanted to keep the sort of large contribution category intact. And sometimes when you offer a secondary one, it's just an easier decision for somebody. So the idea here is to try to really shore up the 5, 6 that we'd like to get for the major wall. The bench, that's yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go back. What's on the other side of that, just so if asked?
Could layer that in. It is in the original graphics, and it's the title of it. It's the St. Catharines Fallen Firefighter Memorial. It's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's not a bad add-in though, because it kind of looks naked out there without that on it, I think.
Okay. Just wanted to know.
Yeah. It was in the original, submissions that they had. It just is the title of the actual park itself. Benches, as pointed out, that's priced incorrectly on this one. Next one's the bricks that we discussed and the location of where the bricks will be. Look what that would look like.
Go back to the bricks. So the bricks will be at the back or at the front of the, like, so when you right now they're indicating they're at the back.
If you go back a couple, if you go back to 10, you'll see it. There it is there. See them in between the benches?
Yeah, but I guess the location, so you're starting at the front and then working your way back, and the one you're showing there is you're starting at the back, you're showing a back one. So if you go to the other one and you see how you gotta where that circle is, and then it's indicating that these named bricks are going to be at the back. Is that the intent, or do you want to, like, you're gonna start with putting the naming ones as far up to the front as possible, and then you may not get them all named?
The idea is that space will be indicative of how many we get. So that sort of runway that you see there will be full, and if it's smaller than that because we only got X amount, then that's what it'll be. It'll be an inlay to that pathway.
Okay.
It's designed to run the whole gamut of it. And then this is the donor rate card, which I spoke to. And a wrap up one. So pretty simplistic, not a, overly involved thing, but I think it certainly delivers, and the price was right. So comments, questions?
Barry, I'm not. Oh. Can you go back to the very first page, Nora, for a quick sec? So, and I know I'm splitting hairs here. I don't know how important it is. We don't wear Scott, we wear MSA. So I don't know, Ryan, is that important to you? Is that something we can flip out pretty easy or makes no difference?
Well, if it's easy, it would be nice to have a St. Catharines firefighter if we had a shot of someone.
I think we can
Yes,
get-
yeah. If you guys have any, like we asked, remember way back when?
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot, but I agree with you. I know Larry hated the Scott bottle. He talked about it all the time. So I'm glad to see that I didn't even know what the hell it was until I saw that picture. But
Yeah.
if you guys want to, it's important that there's a level of authenticity to this, which is
Yeah.
why we wanted you to see it. I mean, obviously it serves the purpose, and it's a when you look at a firefighter all geared up like that, full bunker with the breathing apparatus and all that, it emphasizes, the challenge of the profession, right? So I think something like that would be great. But if you have something, I don't think it's a big deal for Kate to layer it in.
Okay, I'll scrounge something up.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying, Dave? Like that visual impact of that is
Yeah,
there's a guy going in harm's way. Like that's what we want, right? Like so
Yeah.
that's why you're the public looking at him from the back with a fire raging over your logo there. Like it is a high impact visual for sure, and it really serves the purpose. So if you can get something that delivers like that, that you think is sort of thematically linked, absolutely.
yeah. Okay, I'll see what I can scrounge something up.
If you have to, you could potentially contact the Standard. I know that there's been a number of incidences over the last couple of years where the fire departments had to fight some pretty significant fires. It may be that could be a contribution that they make, so they can make, the Welland House, when that went up, there's some really strong shots there, and the greenhouses over in the greenhouse over on outside of on 7th. There's 2 significant fires that if they may have gotten some good up close shots of the men, the firefighters. So it's worth asking, and if we have to purchase the rights to the images, I think it'll be well used.
Agreed. And we might be able to work something out with them anyway, like you said.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make some phone calls, see what I can find.
Great. Appreciate it. Did you have anything else, Mayor? Did you?
That was Dave. Dave was the one who brought that up.
Oh yeah, no, I know. But I thought you guys were you were going to say something before Dave jumped in, but
No, that was gonna be my point overall, is that if there's some good shots of some of the significant incidences that have taken place, I think time and place, it does also it could be a positive trigger for business people to see, since we've had some significant events recently, it would be a good recall for them as well, to show the importance of firefighting in our community, and when they're called to action, what it looks like.
totally agree. Okay, so we'll get that. It's a work in progress, but it's functional in its current form. Certainly for purposes that we need to start getting the word out and start to get fundraising. So that's the segue to our next item, and something that I think we want to bring some structure to today, which is a communication strategy. So Noor and I spoke earlier today, and I think this was discussed at one of our previous meetings, that when we start to talk to people about this in a larger platform, not just one-on-one, whether it's through traditional media, social media, press releases, etc. We all felt on a per previous meeting that having the website up and running was the most important item to have done by then, because we can people will refer to it. And we also thought, and this again is items for us to decide today, that if possible, we would have the bricks as a functional e-commerce aspect of the website. So it would be, once people hear about it, whatever way they're going to hear about it, through word of mouth or some other platform, and they get on the website, they can then, if they choose to, donate. We felt that the other donation categories, there would be an opportunity for you to communicate with us through the website, but it wouldn't be sort of a contribution online for there would have to be a discussion, sort of like a follow-up opportunity. So we feel that with the content of the deck, we have enough to populate the website. And we had discussed previous that through other fundraising initiatives through the city, such as Neil Peart and other things that we've done, that finance has already been made aware, and most of the work that needs to be done is ready to go. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, Nora, but if you can maybe give us a overview of what the fast-moving communication folks at the city would be, because I guess they're going to populate this website and get this e-commerce and financial piece going. And then we can work on a backward strategy from that, Dave, for how we're going to communicate this piece.
So just as our chair has described, there is going to be a website. The Neil Peart Memorial Task Force has already put their website up. So we're going to be using the same platform called AK Raisin. Basically, it's just waiting for our content, which we will, the Culture Office is going to develop using the deck that we now have. We're going to develop that into some website content. The website will allow folks to donate any amount. Anything above $20 will get them a tax receipt. If they donate $400, they can get one of the bricks. So that'll be in there as a donation option. And as Barry described, the website will sort of refer to the possibility of getting memorial benches or memorial trees, but then they'll be redirected to sort of get in touch with the Culture Office if they want to go that route. We'll also, so communications typically takes 2 weeks. Once we have the content ready, it'll be another 2 weeks for communications to then sort of populate the website and it'll go live. So I discussed with Barry that we need at least 3 weeks to, I think, to schedule a launch. We'll also prepare a press release to accompany the launch, which communications will be, it'll be vetted through communications. I think that was it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So we now have a timing window, but before we sort of establish dates, I really think we need to come together on what a communication strategy or launch strategy would look like. Specifically, what's our obligations to council on this, Benny? And what's our obligations to the firefighters and how they're going to find out about it? And then general public strategy related to that. Obviously, the city has a full communications department, so press releases and social media campaigns and all that is well within their purvey, I'm assuming. But you know, I'm curious. I'd like to hear from our elected officials what the role of the city would be, and from the firefighters as to how we'd like to communicate it, and start to put together a plan under the assumption that 2.5 weeks from now we could be live with it.
So the unique part of all this is, and Barry, you've been on a number of campaigns, as have I. Sometimes you wait to lock in some of the bigger ones and then make an announcement and open up the space for the community to really rally behind it. The other approach is what we're talking about here, which is sort of just open it up and see what comes through. I don't have a preferred option because I'm not an expert in these things. I just have participated in them. But I'd be interested to know from your perspective, should we work on getting some of the larger ones locked in, make a big announcement about who we've got locked in, and then ask for the public to close the gap, or vice versa?
My opinion, no magic to it. You're 100% right. In this particular case, given the content versus like a hospital capital campaign or some others that I've been involved with, I believe the messaging has to override the donation part of it. This is a big deal. It's fallen firefighters. I've talked to enough people around it. It's a solemn and important thing to people. I think the fact that there's going to be, something of this size behind it, not just sort of a name on a building, interactive park with. So my thought is that we come out with the whole concept, and that's the lead story, not who's donated. We will then move to those things where so-and-so, try to continue to maintain momentum around messaging with it. But I just think that my hope is that the beyond the firefighters, who we definitely have to say are involved in it, and because people want to know that, so there's a unique messaging around that. But I hear you, Mayor. In this particular case, I just think that the end result and the unique nature of this thing's impactful enough that we want to be as out there with that as we can. And I think that people will go to the website, and some people donate and they'll figure it out and all that stuff. We already have, as you know, 3 or 4 commitments on donations, so we could put a few of them out there. But my opinion, which is just one guy's opinion, is this is not a lot of people know about this. There's been a few little rumblings here or there. I think when you see the artwork and what's the planned goal for it, it'll be newsworthy, hopefully.
So I appreciate the context. The only other question would be, why doesn't the city just pay for it itself then? If it's so important, why doesn't the city just pay for it? Because that's my concern, is on the communication side. You're putting out a very good narrative, but you may have, and this is where we have to deal with it, because when we put it on our social pages or we put it on the city's Facebook page, you get well, if it's so important, why are you coming to us? The city should pay for this, damn it, kind of thing. So
Yeah,
that's why it would be nice. I'm going to ask you to give some thought. It'd be nice to have 1 or 2 independent private people coming out with donations, and then be able to really do a communication release on it, because they're the validators. They're the ones who are validating. They're the ones who are going to tell the story why they're donating. And then when people pop up and be like, the city should just pay for this, I can't believe this, the city is such a bad organization, like, it just puts us in a bad light if we go automatically to ask people for contributions. Give some thought to maybe feathering this together with some significant announcements.
Yeah, I get
That's
it.
my opinion.
Yeah, of course, I appreciate your perspective, because it wouldn't even cross my mind. My thought would be, people would be thrilled that we're not hitting taxpayers for this, that we are looking to our community, and as you know, because you've heard me say it a million times, my faith in this community and their ability to rally behind things like this, and the philanthropic types we have in this community that are all about this, and it was us that came forward with this idea. This is Ryan and I having a chat in 2012 in Colorado about this thing, right? So so I think your narrative on it is fantastic, and this, by the way, city is doing a lot. The city is contributing land and making a contribution. And I would, my own opinion, this is like me and you at the bar, but my own opinion on this is, I would hold this project up as a template for a lot of future projects where you have the public-private partnership, the 3 Ps. And it's a phenomenal way to better the community and recognizing that the city's resources are limited. They just are. And so that's my take on it. And but I think we can. I like your idea too, of having some people and sort of say that. But I would lead with that messaging and just I think this is this to me this is how the capital campaigns happen. Why didn't the city and the province and the feds pay for 100% of the hospital? Because you can't. It's a limit to the resources. You need private sector to step up, and no better way to do it than this, in my opinion. But you've heard me on this soapbox for 5 years now, right? So yeah. But yeah, let's talk about it. But what I also want to understand is, what's your thoughts, Mayor and Councillor Dodge, on council? Will council read about this in the paper, or do we owe them a session on a Monday night? Like, what's your thoughts?
You have to, for the Welland, for the fallen workers of the Welland Canal fallen workers, there was a continuous reporting to council. So before this becomes public, I think there needs to be a presentation to council on this. That'll be the soft public awareness part of it. And then you would say the next steps are the fundraising, and this is how we're going to do it. So I think that needs to be scheduled into council.
Okay. I thought so, but I wanted to make sure, and it makes sense to me. And Dave, Ryan, what's your thoughts on the membership? And same time, do you want to be at council? Like do you want these guys to read about it in the newspaper, guys and gals read the newspaper? Or would you want them to have some sort of internal communication just before the public finds out about it?
You want to go first, Dave?
Yeah, sure. I think it's really important when we do the presentation to council that both Ryan and myself are there, so that as representatives of the fire service that we're there supporting the project. I think that's really important that they know we're on board. I know Ryan has good relationship and communication with the association members, and I think it's really important that probably very same time frame that it comes out to the membership as well. I don't know, Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And we have been updating the membership at our meetings, our bi-monthly meetings, and telling them how this committee's been progressing. And as a matter of fact, we're dealing with an issue right now. By the second week of December, we should be in a position to commit to significant donation towards it. But I can't do anything before second week of December. But yeah, it'd be really nice to be able to share this presentation that's been put together once it's finalized and be able to put that out to our members before it hits the newspapers. That would be great.
And Ryan, just so for my edification, the communication with all the members, I know you have regularly scheduled meetings. Do you do an e-blast, or do you guys do a newsletter or ad hoc? I'm just curious because that can factor into our strategy.
Yep, we do email. We email the membership with important information as it comes along in between meetings. So yeah, we definitely can do that. Okay.
So Mayor, if you don't mind, because you're a master of this stuff, what I'm thinking of here is we basically have, we do what we suggested would be done at the beginning, which is get the website ready to go, get a press release ready to go, and have a distribution plan for that messaging. And then we coordinate the discussion around that with a presentation to council as kind of the lead off of that, to coincide with an email to all the firefighter membership, the members of the association union. And then the next day, or whatever the timing is, we blast away on social and maybe have a few discussions booked with standard radio, things of that nature. That's my off the cuff thought. What do you think?
Yeah, that makes sense for us. I think the firefighters, letting them know just before we go to council kind of thing? Like that's a
Yeah.
standard, what we would do is the stakeholders would get some kind of information that would be pretty detailed and then go to council and then that'd be the unofficial kickoff. And then I think Barry, you should give some consideration to the group to see if we can get signage at the location that would have the conceptual concept of what the
Good idea.
memorial is going to look like there, and then that, you know, we could do an official unveiling there or an announcement there on site, pictures, you know, and get firefighters there, like have obviously everything, you know, in a way that's safe, but have a group there, maybe have a truck pull up beside it, and just really that could be the kickoff, the official kickoff. And maybe at that point you could announce maybe the first major donor who stepped up, and that would kick off sort of the public campaign.
That's a great idea. I might be able to get that donated too. Sign.
Well, if the firefighters were able to, if they were committed at that, like that'd be a great way for the firefighters.
That's
to
what I'm
announce their
thinking too,
commitment.
Ryan. That might coincide perfectly with your announcement. Maybe we bring in somebody else from the community at that point in time and go from there. So to take away from all, okay, so we have these tiers basically, which is council, firefighters, basically same time, media, all levels, and then unveiling, we'll call it, at the site. We'll have to put a little plan together, Nora, that has these things, some input from the comms people over at the city, and we'll communicate with everybody here so everybody sees the plan well in advance, and we'll do it by email, but and then yeah, we'll start to get people coordinated for probably 3 weeks from now. That's roughly the time frame we're looking at. That'll give us plenty of time to get our strategy together, get our sign developed conceptually, and anything else that comes along. Any other thoughts, comments about this?
Barry, I think.
Go ahead, Ryan. We'll get you next, Nora. Go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, just a quick question. Did I miss you saying how soon you want to have this happen? I'd really like to have something detailed to share with the membership by the first week of December at the latest, if that's possible.
You'll be ahead. I think it'll be ahead of that.
Okay.
We'll see where it all goes, but the thought right now would be that we would gear to do all this in 3 weeks, basically. You know, that gives ample opportunity to get our strategy together, whatever materials we need on site, and then the website and all that stuff. We need to think about, Ryan, if your meeting goes well early in December, how we're going to handle that. And that might be the unveiling. We may do the media strategy ahead of it, and then we do the big unveiling of the concept in conjunction with that announcement, if that works. But so your timing's going to be good as long as we sort of adhere to this 2.5, 3 week window.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So our council schedule is November 15th, November 29th. So I think the earliest you'll get in front of us, Barry, is November 29th. So if you looked at that as the council presentation day, and then that week, it could be sort of a couple of major things, because that's the first week of December as well.
Right. Well, let's just do it. Let's just call the ball on that right now, unless there's. I'd prefer it a week earlier, but we'll go by the council schedule. That gives tons of breathing rooms, Nura, what you and I have to get accomplished, especially you. And did you have a question? Sorry, you got cut off twice here.
Well, no, I was going to point out the same thing that the mayor just pointed out, that November 29th is probably our goal date for council meeting. While that sounds like a lot of breathing room, it's actually not, because materials get circulated sort of the week before, and then they go to directors the week before that. So we actually do need to have our materials ready probably end of this week. So just to say that out loud, Barry, we should probably.
Mayor, is the practice still not thrown in the package on Friday? before council?
No, no,
Hilarious.
that's frowned upon, Barry.
Well, why don't we at least get us on the agenda for now, and we'll work back from there, okay? Yeah.
That's key. That's key.
Yeah.
Because it's honestly, Barry, to get the sign order, like there's even going to be a lag in getting the sign and then getting it installed. Like you got to do it right because it's going to be up for at least, 8-9 months. Like it's going to be there. The great thing is the traffic. Like you're going to get Ice Dogs traffic, you're going to get Performance traffic, you're going to get the day traffic. So it's going to be a nice spot for people to stop and look at it and go, okay, yeah, where do I make a donation kind of thing.
Okay. So we're starting this on the 29th though. And we'll and then I think we'll get the whole communication strategy rolling that day, and then Ryan will look toward working with you. I think we'll do the unveiling, just conceptually right now, around the announcement of what the firefighters are doing. Get guys out there, get trucks out there, do all that stuff, and go from there. That's great. That's a very manageable time frame, my estimation. Okay. Well, thank you for the contribution, and we will get back to you with this plan. I will defer at this second, Mayor. Does any of this need to be motioned and voted on?
I'm going to defer to Nora. She's the one taking the staff motions there.
I mean, it's a work in progress. I think that we've agreed on I think it needs to be minuted that we've agreed on this communication strategy, and we're going to come back with a formal plan in writing. So we've aligned on a concept. I don't think it's motion or vote because it's not really a decision at this stage. It's
I would agree with that.
yeah, okay. For once, I got away with no motion. All right. Well, that's it for the agenda. I will open it up if there's any new business that anybody has that they'd like to bring forward at this point in time.
I would just like to congratulate Nancy and the rest of us for having our screens properly situated, except for Dave Upper, who's like, he's got one of those.
It's on his phone.
He's down into his camera. He hasn't managed the lift your camera off of it. So you're.
I just thought he was really tall.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it's the
Dave
opposite.
No, I'm standing. I've been sitting in meetings all day, so I'm standing in the bedroom. So
Okay.
I'll leave that.
my
Okay.
computer's on
On standing in the bedroom note, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Mayor, seconder, somebody. Thank you, Councillor Dodge. Okay, thanks everybody. You know what? It's been a long time, but this is becoming real now. So let's go. Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us, Nancy. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep. Nancy, I'll double back with you. We'll have a quick chat, okay? I'll just follow up and give you a little bit of the backstory, and I want to hear a little bit about how you think you might be able to help everything else we got
Okay.
going on here.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Take care.
Thank you.